Hopper's POV. It's been 6 days since I transferred to St. Augustine's, and I already hate how quiet the walls sound when you don't belong. Everything smells like polish and old money. Even the air feels practiced. The students move in clusters, whispering behind manicured hands, flashing the same smug smiles that say they've known each other since birth. I'm the scholarship kid, the one who got in on grades, not legacy. Teachers call me promising. Students call me background noise. I tell myself I don't care, but this place doesn't let you forget where you stand. By Wednesday, I've already learned 2 things. 1, cafeteria food tastes like regret. 2, everyone talks about him. Michael Rossi. His name moves through the halls like static, sometimes in warning, sometimes in awe. A senior, rich, reckless, dangerous. The kind of guy teachers pretend not to see when he breaks something because his father donates entire buildings to the school. I hadn't seen him yet, but every time someone said his name, the air changed. "Don't cross him," my lab partner muttered. "Don't talk to him," another said. "Don't even look twice," a girl added, like she meant it. So I decided not to care. Rumors always exaggerate. That was before I spilled coffee on Sister Margaret's robe. In my defense, she came out of nowhere. One startled flinch later, the hot mess was dripping down her habit. "I swear it was an accident," I blurted, frozen. She didn't blink. "Intentions don't clean stains, Mr. Adams." Which is how I ended up here, alone in the old chapel after hours, mopping floors that probably hadn't been walked on since the 80s. The place was beautiful in a lonely kind of way. Arched ceilings, dust in the light, the faint smell of wax. I put in my earbuds and started cleaning, humming under my breath, trying not to think about how echoey it felt. Then, the heavy door creaked open. A guy walked in like he owned the place. Leather jacket over uniform, collar undone, hair damp, eyes sharp. Trouble in a school uniform. He leaned against a pew. "Didn't know detention came with saints," he said, voice smooth and amused. I blinked. "Didn't know the devil enrolled in Catholic school." That grin, slow, dangerous, too confident, hit me harder than I liked. "Touché," he said. "New kid, right?" "Maybe." He laughed quietly. "They always send the newbies here first. Guess you made an impression." "Yeah," I muttered. "Coffee homicide. That's one way to start a legacy." He stepped closer, boots tapping softly. "You're not supposed to be here," I said. "Neither are you." The lights flickered, once, twice. Then, darkness. The hum of electricity vanished. The chapel swallowed us in silence. My fingers tightened around the mop handle. "Seriously?" "Relax," he said, voice lower now. "You scared, Saint Boy?" "Of you. No." Quiet laughter. Good. I couldn't see him, but I could feel him, close enough that my pulse tripped over itself. It wasn't flirtation. It was tension. A dare. When the lights buzzed back on, he was a few feet away again, smirk in place like nothing happened. He shoved his hands into his pockets and walked past me, unhurried. That's when I saw the name stitched on his jacket. Rossi. Michael Rossi. The one everyone warned me about. Outside, a few students lingered near the hallway, whispering, "Holy crap, that's Michael. What's he doing with the new guy?" Before I could answer, Ava, one of the few people who'd actually talked to me, grabbed my arm. "Are you insane?" she hissed. "That's Michael Rossi. Did he do anything to you?" I looked back. Michael was still by the chapel doors, watching us. The corner of his mouth twitched, like the whole thing was a private joke. "Yeah," I said quietly. He introduced himself. That night, lying on my dorm bed, I kept replaying the moment. The darkness, the way his voice had dropped, the look in his eyes before he turned away. I tried to shrug it off, but it lingered anyway. Because the boy everyone warned me about didn't look like danger. He looked like a challenge. 2 weeks in. It's been 2 weeks since detention, and somehow Michael Rossi has turned it into a lifelong sentence. Everywhere I go, he's there. In the morning, he's leaning against my locker like he owns it. In class, he somehow always ends up behind me. At lunch, he strolls by my table just long enough to make eye contact and smirk before someone else distracts him. It's not subtle. It's annoying. Today's no different. I'm half asleep in history when he slides into the empty seat behind me. His voice drops low near my ear. "You look better when you're mad." I don't even bother turning around. "Why are you behind me, Michael?" He chuckles, voice low and lazy. "Because you're not like the rest of them." I frown, glancing over my shoulder. "The rest of who?" "The guys here," he says, leaning against the desk like he owns it. "They see me and run the other way. You don't. You talk back. You glare. You make me curious." My pencil pauses mid-note. "You really need better hobbies." He grins, the kind that crawls under my skin. "Maybe. But right now, my favorite one's you." I roll my eyes, though my pulse betrays me, thudding like it wants in on the conversation. "You're impossible." "Yeah," he says softly. "But you're still not walking away." My pencil nearly snaps. By the end of the week, my patience is hanging by a thread. Ava notices. She always does. We're sitting under the courtyard tree after class. Her scrolling through her phone while I rant about Michael for the 3rd time this week. "He's like a damn mosquito," I mutter. "Every time I swat him away, he just comes back louder." Ava laughs. "Yeah, except mosquitoes don't drive vintage cars and have half the school wrapped around their finger." "He's not that bad." She gives me a sharp look over her phone. "You're kidding, right? Hopper? That guy's a walking storm warning. He's been expelled twice, only for the teacher to get fired by his dad. His dad practically owns this place and everyone says he's dangerous," I cut in. "Yeah, I've heard the sermon." "I'm serious," she says, lowering her voice. "Just don't take him lightly, okay? Guys like him, they play different games." I don't answer. Mostly because I don't want to admit she's right. And partly because I don't want to admit that maybe I'm already playing. By nightfall, the campus has emptied out. The library closes late on Fridays, and I stayed behind to finish a report I'd been putting off. When I finally slide the paper into the submission box, the hallway feels hollow. My footsteps echo too loudly, bouncing off marble floors that suddenly look too polished, too perfect for someone like me. I tell myself I'll head straight back to the dorm. But then I see the stairway leading up to the rooftop, the off-limits one students use anyway. And my legs move before my brain does. The air's cooler up there, crisp and quiet. Then I hear it. The flick of a lighter. Michael's already sitting on the ledge. Cigarette glowing faint orange between his fingers. The city lights smear behind him, hazy and gold. "Thought bad boys didn't brood," I say, stepping closer. He doesn't look up. Bad boys are just sad boys with better PR. The smoke curls upward, catching in the wind. I shove my hands into my pockets. That's supposed to be deep? Did it work? Barely. He chuckles, low. Silence hums between us. Not awkward, just heavy. "You ever think about leaving this place?" I ask finally. He exhales, watching the smoke drift. "Every day." "Then why stay?" He shrugs. "People like us don't leave. We just pretend we're fine until it stops mattering." Something about the way he says people like us catches in my chest. "I didn't realize you saw yourself as one of us," I say. He glances at me, smirk faint but tired. "I didn't. Until you said it." For a moment, I don't know if it's pity or connection, or something worse, curling between us. "I should probably tell you," I say, trying to steady my tone. "Smoking makes you look like you're trying too hard." He grins, tossing the cigarette away. "Maybe I am." I turned toward the door. "Good night, Rossi." "Good night, Saint Boy." I don't look back. But as I walk down the empty hallway, I catch myself smiling, small and reckless, like someone who already knows better and still doesn't care. Weeks later. It had been 3 weeks since that stupid staircase evening, and somehow Michael Rossi kept showing up. Outside class, by the bleachers, in the hallway like he ruled it. I'd stopped asking why. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe that grin that looked like it knew me too well. Either way, people started looking at me differently. Ava barely said hi, others just stopped waving. I didn't need to ask why. Being seen with Michael Rossi was apparently social suicide. Friday afternoon. "Come with me tonight," he said one Friday after class, leaning against the hood of his car like it was part of him. "There's a meet. You'll like it." "A meet?" I asked, closing my bag. "Like a car meet." He smirked, tilting his head. "What other kind of meet do I look like I go to?" I rolled my eyes. "The illegal kind, probably." "Then you'll fit right in," he said, straight-faced. I should have said no. I knew I should have, but the way his eyes caught the sun made the word die on my tongue. Racing track. The smell hit first, gasoline and burnt rubber. Then the sound, engines roaring, music pounding, laughter sharp enough to cut through the night. I didn't belong there. Everyone looked like they had fire in their veins. Tattoos, leather, smoke curling around them like armor. Michael walked straight into the chaos like it was home. People clapped him on the shoulder, shouted his name. Someone shoved a drink into his hand. His grin was brighter than the neon lights bouncing off the hoods of cars. He fit into the noise like he was born from it. And I didn't. I stayed near the edge of the crowd, watching him laugh with people who looked like they'd been born to break rules. He looked different out here. Alive. Untouchable. He must have felt me staring because he turned, smirked, and walked over. "You good?" "Define good," I said. "Still breathing?" "Barely. It's loud." He leaned closer so I could hear him over the music. "That's the point. I don't get how you can breathe in this." His eyes caught the light. "I don't. That's the fun part." I rolled my eyes, but I was smiling before I realized it. It changed fast after that. Engines revved too close. A black car slid to a stop in front of Michael's, tires screeching. The air shifted. Michael's grin faded. "Great," he muttered. 3 guys stepped out. Leather jackets, smug faces, energy that screamed trouble. I didn't know who they were, but the way Michael squared his shoulders told me everything. "Rival crew?" I asked. He glanced at me, then back at them. Something like that. "Stay here." That's when I realized the difference between watching Michael Rossi and knowing him. He wasn't just cocky. He was dangerous when cornered. They argued. I couldn't hear much, just raised voices, someone laughing, the sound of a shove. Then one of them looked my way. "Hey, pretty boy," he called. "That's your new pet, Rossi?" My stomach dropped. Michael froze. "Don't," he warned. The guy grabbed my hoodie before I could move, pulling me forward. His breath smelled like beer and ego. "Didn't think you liked quiet ones." And that was it. Michael lunged, one hit, then another. It wasn't sloppy or wild. It was precise, brutal. He moved like he'd been taught to fight hard and fast. I'd never seen him like that. People yelled. Someone tried to pull him off but failed. I shouted, "Michael, stop! He's down!" He didn't stop, so I grabbed his arm and pulled with everything I had. "You're bleeding, you idiot!" That got his attention. He turned toward me, chest heaving, lip split, blood smeared on his cheek, and he smiled. "Guess I just wanted to see if you'd catch me." "Catch you?" I glared. "You're insane." "Yeah," he said, grin still in place. "But you're still here." "Oye, ska arts." I don't know how we ended up in my dorm. I just remember him limping beside me and me muttering curses the whole way. "Sit," I said when we got in. He flopped down on my bed like it was his. "You got bandages." I tossed him a towel. "Don't bleed on my sheets." He laughed, quiet and rough. "You really know how to make a guy feel cared for." I grabbed the first aid kit and kneeled in front of him. "I'm serious. You could have been killed." "You sound like you care," he murmured, watching me too closely. "Maybe I do." That shut him up. For a second, neither of us said anything. I cleaned his cut, careful not to meet his eyes, but I could feel them on me, warm, steady, unreadable. "You don't scare easily," he said finally. "Not sure that's a compliment." "It is." His voice dropped. "Most people run when they see me like that." "You didn't." "Because you were being stupid." He grinned. "Still patched me up, though." "Only so you don't stain my sheets." Michael laughed, low and tired. "You ever think maybe you belong in my world more than you think?" I looked up at him, eyebrows raised. "If this is your world, it needs better lighting." He smirked but didn't push it. His eyes softened in that half-sincere, half-mocking way that made it impossible to tell when he was serious. I sighed. "You really don't pray, do you?" He blinked. "Pray?" "Yeah, for luck or anything." He leaned back, closing his eyes. "Engines don't pray, Hopper. They just run till they burn out." I don't know why that messed with me so much. Maybe because he said it like it wasn't about cars at all. And standing there bandaging the hands of a boy who treated destruction like oxygen, I realized I wasn't sure if I wanted to fix him, or if I just wanted to understand why I couldn't walk away. 2 weeks later. It's been 2 weeks since the fight, and somehow Michael Rossi isn't a mystery anymore. He's a habit. He's stopped pretending not to care when he passes me in the halls. We talk now, eat lunch together sometimes. People still stare, whisper, and avoid sitting near us. Even Ava stays steer clear from me, but I've stopped caring. What I didn't expect was the garage. Michael owns a garage. He called it his safe place. It's tucked behind an old auto shop on the edge of town, half lit by a single hanging bulb smelling like motor oil and rust. He spends every evening there after classes, fixing up an old black car that looks one breath away from falling apart. And for some reason, he keeps asking me to come with him. A weekend evening. "Hand me the wrench," he said, voice muffled from under the car. I tossed it down, the clank echoing off the walls. You know, most people relax by watching TV. He slid out, face streaked with grease. "Most people are boring. Most people also don't risk tetanus for fun." He smirked, wiping his hands on a rag. "That's what you're here for, to supervise." I snorted. "You're doing great, Rossi. Haven't exploded anything yet." He looked up at me from the floor, eyes catching the dim light. "Yet, huh?" Something about the way he said it made my pulse trip. I looked away, pretending to inspect the cracked window instead. A week in, it became a pattern. After school, we'd end up there. I'd sit on the hood of his car, legs swinging, while he worked in silence. Sometimes music played low in the background, old rock songs that hummed like heartbeats. It wasn't awkward silence. It was full. I liked watching how focused he got, how his hands moved steady and sure, fixing, adjusting, creating something from ruin. He didn't talk much, but when he did, it was never small talk. You ever notice how people here only fix what looks broken? I blink. Isn't that the point? He chuckles quietly. Nah, my family's good at breaking things. Business deals, people, rules. Guess I got tired of pretending that's not what we do. He's not looking at me, but his voice has that edge. The one that makes you feel like you're overhearing something you shouldn't. I tilt my head. So what do you want to do instead? He shrugs, runs a hand through his hair. Build something. Doesn't have to be big. Just something that lasts longer than a fight. For some reason, that lands way deeper than I expected. You already are, I say quietly. He looks up, brow furrowed. What do you mean? This, I motion around the garage. These cars, the late nights, the way you fix things that everyone else says are done for. That's building, Michael, even if you don't see it. His mouth curves, not into a smirk, but something softer. You make me sound like I've got my shit together. I smile. You don't. But at least you're trying. He laughs, low and honest this time, the kind that doesn't feel practiced. Later, we shared fries from a paper bag, sitting on the floor, backs against the wall. The air buzzed with that heavy, charged quiet that feels like the world holding its breath. He nudged my shoulder. You keep showing up, you know that? Should I stop? He shook his head, smiling lightly. Didn't say that. Then what are you saying? He hesitated, eyes flicking down, then back up. That I can't stay away from you. I laughed, soft but shaky. You say that like it's a problem. It is, he said, almost whispering. Because when I'm around you, I start wanting things I shouldn't. Like what? He didn't answer right away. Just looked at me. Really looked. I could hear the ticking of the cooling engine behind us. The faint buzz of the streetlight outside. Peace? He said finally. I want peace. It shouldn't have hit me hard enough to choke me up. I wanted to tell him I felt the same. That I'd been fighting to stay indifferent since the day he walked into that chapel. That every time he leaned too close or said something stupidly honest, I lost a little more ground. But all I said was, then don't stay away. He blinked, like he hadn't expected me to say it. Don't what? He asked. Stay away. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was alive. Something unspoken sat between us, thick enough to breathe. He moved first. Slow, careful, like giving me a chance to pull back. I didn't. His fingers brushed mine, light and uncertain. When I didn't move, he traced the back of my hand, almost absent-mindedly. Tell me to stop, he murmured. I swallowed. Why would I do that? He smiled then, small, tired, real. And when he leaned in, it wasn't fast. It wasn't hungry. It was like he'd been holding his breath for weeks and finally let himself exhale as his lips met mine. The kiss was quiet, almost hesitant, more confession than act. The taste of salt and grease and the faint sweetness of the fries we'd shared. It wasn't perfect. Our noses bumped. My heart was beating too loudly. But his hand cupped the back of my neck, thumb brushing the edge of my jaw, and it felt right. Like the world had stopped shouting for a second just to let us breathe. When he finally pulled back, he didn't look away. I didn't plan that, he said, voice rough. I know. He smiled faintly. Still gonna supervise me after this? I huffed a laugh. Depends. You planning to start another fight? He leaned his head against the car door, eyes closing. Not tonight. I didn't move either. I just sat there, listening to the soft hum of the garage, the sound of our breathing blending into it. For once, the chaos outside didn't feel like it could touch us. And maybe that's what scared me most. Because I knew nothing quiet ever lasted long with Michael Rossi. But for now, it did. And I let it. Weeks later. 2 weeks since the kiss, and everything between us had slipped into this rhythm that felt too easy to be real. No labels, no promises. Just stolen moments that made the world fade out for a bit. Michael would find excuses to touch me. Shoulder bumps, lazy smirks, his hand brushing mine when no one was watching. He'd kiss me whenever he got the chance. Sometimes soft, sometimes like he was trying to prove something. He'd always whisper the same thing after. Kissing you shuts everything else up. I used to joke, you sound like you're using me for therapy. He'd grin, kiss me again and say, maybe I am. And I'd let him. Every damn time. It was a Friday night when he got detention again. Some argument with a teacher, I think. I didn't even ask. I just found myself sneaking into the chapel after evening roll call. He was there, mopping the floor with zero effort, humming off key. "You're really bad at pretending to work," I said, shutting the door quietly. He turned, that grin pulling at his mouth. "Didn't know saints broke rules for sinners." "Guess I'm backsliding," I said, stepping closer. "You missed a spot." "Oh yeah?" He leaned the mop against the wall. "Want to show me how it's done?" I took the mop from him and started cleaning the floor like a decent person. He lasted maybe 15 seconds before wrapping his arms around me from behind. "Michael," I warned, but it came out weaker than I meant. He laughed softly, breath warm against my neck. "You love saying my name like that." "Like what?" "Like you hate that you like me." I turned around, mop forgotten, heart thudding too loud for this quiet place. His smirk was gone now. Just that look he gets when he's trying not to feel too much. "I like you more when you shut up," I muttered. "So make me." It was stupid and reckless and perfect. His lips found mine, slow, unhurried. The kind of kiss that doesn't ask for permission because both people already said yes in 100 small ways. It didn't feel like sin. It felt like peace. Neither of us noticed the faint click from the hallway window. By morning, peace was over. The photo was everywhere. Grainy, slightly blurred, but clear enough. The bad boy and the transfer saint caught behind the chapel like some forbidden cliche. People stared when I walked through the halls. Whispers followed like static. He kissed Rossi. Wasn't he the transfer kid? Figures. They always break the good ones. I tried to keep walking, keep breathing. Michael wasn't in homeroom, or lunch, or detention. By the time I found him leaning against the gym wall, hoodie pulled low, he looked like a ghost of himself. "Michael," I said softly. He didn't look at me. "You shouldn't be here. Everyone's talking. I just wanted to." He snapped his head up. "Oh, don't. Don't say you're fine. You're not." I didn't say I was. His jaw tightened. "You shouldn't have followed me into that chapel. This is my mess." "It wasn't just yours," I said. "You kissed me, remember?" His eyes flicked to me, sharp, burning. "Yeah, I remember every damn second." Before I could say more, a black car pulled into the school lot. Sleek, silent. The kind that screamed money and menace. Michael's posture stiffened immediately. When the door opened, Vincent Rossi, Michael's dad, stepped out. Tailored suit, cold eyes. Two men in black trailed behind him like shadows. The entire quad fell quiet, tension crawling up the air. "Michael," Vincent said, voice deep, calm, too calm. "We need to talk." Michael didn't move. "We can talk here." Vincent's gaze slid to me. "Not in front of your little charity project." My stomach twisted. Michael's hand clenched into a fist at his side. "Don't talk about him like that." Vincent's mouth curled into a scowl, small and cruel. "You think this is a game? That photo's made it into places you don't understand. Investors, partners, people who don't like weakness." He stepped closer. "Do you have any idea what you've cost me?" Michael's voice dropped low. "I don't care about your money." "You should," Vincent hissed, his control breaking for a moment. "Because it's the only thing keeping you safe. And this boy?" He looked right at me again. "He won't be." My throat went dry. I didn't even know what to say. Vincent straightened, fixing his tie like the moment hadn't happened. "You're embarrassing this family. Fix it, or I'll fix it for you." Then he turned and left, his bodyguards following in sync, the silence they left behind heavier than any shout. Michael didn't say a word, just stood there, staring at the pavement like it held answers. I wanted to touch him, to make him look at me, but his shoulders were locked, trembling. Michael, don't, his voice cracked. Please, just go. I'm not leaving you like this. He turned then, eyes red, mouth hard. You have to. You don't get it, Hopper. My dad doesn't make threats. He erases problems. You can't be near me. Michael, you're scared. Yeah, I am, he snapped, taking a step back. For you. That broke something in me. Then stop pushing me away, I whispered. He shook his head. You think I want to? You think this doesn't kill me? He laughed bitterly, voice rough. You're the only thing that ever felt right. And that's exactly why I can't keep you. Michael, please. Forget about me, Saint Boy. It was just fun. The lie sat between us, heavy and cold. You're lying, I said quietly. You're just scared. His eyes flickered. Pain, guilt, something like love. And then went flat. Go home, Hopper. I waited for him to stop me. He didn't. When I finally turned away, my chest felt hollow. Behind me, I heard the dull sound of his fist hitting the wall. Once, twice, and then silence. That night, I realized love didn't just break your heart. It could save your life too, even when it tore everything else apart. Weeks later. It's been 3 weeks since I last saw him. Long enough to almost convince myself I was over it before it even started. Ava finally spoke to me today. She found me in the courtyard, sitting under the old tree behind the field. Hoodie up, earphones in, trying to blend into the damn grass. She sat down anyway, like she owned the spot. You still waiting for him to show up? She asked, scraping at the bark with her nail. I'm not waiting, I muttered. I'm just thinking. Thinking looks a lot like moping. I rolled my eyes and tugged one earbud out. You don't know what happened, Ava. She let out a tiny laugh. I do. More than you think. I turned toward her, confused and kind of irritated. Okay, hold up. You've been ignoring me for months. You didn't even sit with me at lunch. You didn't text back. Now, suddenly you're here and dropping whatever this is. What changed? Ava froze, her fingers going still against the bark. Hopper. I wasn't ignoring you because I was mad, she said quietly. I was scared. Of what? Me? No. Of the Rossis. That shut me up fast. She sighed and hugged her knees like she was bracing herself. My late uncle used to work for them. Security detail. He died in a shootout saving Michael's uncle and his girlfriend from the Rossi family's rival. None of them made it. My stomach sank. I didn't tell you before because I wasn't sure how deep you were getting with Michael. But then I saw how you looked after he stopped showing up, she said softly. And I figured you deserved to know what you're dealing with. What am I dealing with? I whispered. Ava met my eyes, steady and serious. Vincent Rossi didn't just threaten you that day in the hallway. He wasn't bluffing. The Rossi family has enemies, real ones. And rivals don't go after the Rossis directly. They go after the people the Rossis care about. The people they can't afford to lose. A cold wave rolled down my spine. So, you're saying... I'm saying if you matter to Michael, you're already on someone's list. And if Vincent thinks you're a weakness in Michael's life, he'll make sure you disappear before the rivals ever get a chance. I stared at her, heart crawling up my throat. You think Michael knew all this? She nodded slowly. Yeah, I think he's been protecting you the only way he knows how. By breaking me? I whispered. Ava's face softened. By breaking himself first. Her words lingered even after she stood up and walked away. They echoed in my head for days, buzzing under my skin like a warning and a wish all tangled together. I dragged myself through classes, barely hearing anything. Michael didn't text, didn't show up. It felt like he'd just been erased. Then one night, as I was walking back to my dorm, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Hopper? A woman's voice said, soft, shaking. Yes. Who is this? This is Lena, Michael's mother. My heart dropped. Is he? He's at St. Augustine Hospital. There was an ambush. His father's business was targeted. He's stable now, but he's been asking for you. I didn't even remember hanging up. I just ran. The smell of disinfectant hit me before I even reached his room. My hands were shaking as I pushed the door open. Michael was lying there, pale, bruised, a line of stitches running across his temple. But his eyes, when they flicked toward me, they were still the same storm I knew. You came back, he said, voice rough. I let out a shaky laugh, my eyes burning. You idiot, I never left. He smiled faintly, the corner of his mouth tugging up. Guess I needed to nearly die to see that face again. Don't joke about that, I said, sitting on the edge of the bed. You scared the hell out of me. He reached out weakly, his fingers brushing mine. Wasn't planning to, just couldn't stay away from trouble. I held his hand tighter. You mean your father? He winced, and everything that comes with him. Days turned into weeks again. Michael had just finished arguing with the nurse about being discharged early, half in pain and half pretending he wasn't, when the door crashed open so hard the metal frame rattled. Vincent Rossi didn't walk in. He stormed in, 2 bodyguards flanking him like shadows. His expensive suit looked out of place under the hospital's fluorescent light. But his presence, his anger, filled the entire room. Michael froze, jaw tightening. I instinctively stepped forward from where I was packing his things, but one look from Vincent was enough to pin me where I stood. So it's true, Vincent said, his voice low but sharp. You really are pathetic enough to bring him back here. Dad, don't you dare call me that. Vincent's words hit like a gunshot. You drag our name through the mud. You throw away everything you've been given, and now you're parading this distraction in my face? My throat went dry. Michael's hands balled into fists. Say whatever you want about me, Michael said. But don't talk about him. Vincent's lip curled. I'll talk about whatever ruins my family's name. He turned that venomous stare on me. You have no idea what kind of danger you're in, boy. The Rossi name doesn't just attract attention. It creates enemies. And those enemies don't hesitate. You think you're safe clinging to him. You'll be the first they'll gut when they want to make a point. I felt my stomach twist, but I didn't move. I'm not scared of your threats. Vincent barked out a short, humorless laugh. You should be. Michael took a shaky breath, stepping forward, his voice low but firm. You're done here. I'm not. Vincent's tone softened, which somehow made it worse. You're a Rossi, Michael. You don't get to throw that away. Walk away from this boy, come home, and I'll make this go away. Michael's hands trembled, not with fear, but with fury. Go away, Dad. Vincent's eyes went cold again. Then you're no son of mine. Michael flinched like it hit him physically, his breath stuttering. But before I could move, Vincent turned toward me again. And you. If you stay near him, you'll be signing your own death wish. You think this is about love? This is about survival. His enemies won't care what you mean to him, just that you do. Michael's voice came out cracked, desperate. Stop it. Vincent leaned in closer, inches from his son's face. Then end it before they end him. That's when I stepped forward, between them, before I even thought it through. He's not ending anything. Vincent's gaze snapped to me, a flicker of surprise breaking through his rage. Excuse me? He's not ending this, I said, trying to keep my voice from shaking. You don't scare me. And you don't get to decide what we are or what happens next. The silence that followed felt like standing in front of a live wire. Michael's hand found mine. Tight. Grounding. Vincent's eyes dropped to where our fingers tangled. "You think you're protecting him," he said quietly. "But you're sealing your own fate." Michael stepped closer to me, his tone sharp. "We'll take our chances." Vincent studied him for a long second, something like disappointment flickering in his eyes before it vanished. "You'll regret this." Michael's voice broke, but he didn't back down. "Maybe. But at least it'll be my choice this time." Vincent stared, jaw clenched, then turned sharply toward the door. "Then you're both already dead." The sound of his shoes faded down the hall. The door clicked shut behind the bodyguards. The silence that followed was thick, too heavy to breathe through. Michael's grip was still firm in mine, but his hand shook. "Hey," I said softly, tugging him toward me. "You okay?" He laughed, a raw, broken sound. "No, but you still standing here helps." I reached up, touched his cheek where the tension hadn't yet faded. "You don't have to face him alone. Not anymore." Michael looked at me then. Really looked. His walls, his anger, all that defiance, it cracked just enough to show the fear behind it. He exhaled, slowly. "You shouldn't have said that to him." "Yeah," I said quietly. "But I meant every word." His eyes softened. "You're gonna get yourself hurt, Saint Boy." "Maybe," I said. "But if I'm already in the fire, I'd rather stand beside you than watch you burn from the sidelines." He stared at me for a long second, like he couldn't believe I meant it. Then he nodded once, the corner of his mouth twitching. "Guess we're both idiots then," he murmured. I smiled, feeling the smallest bit of relief in that wrecked room. "Yeah, but at least we're idiots together." He leaned forward, not for a kiss, not yet, but enough that our foreheads touched, our breaths blending between us. It was quiet, not safe, but ours. And for the first time, Michael didn't look like a boy trying to outrun his father. He looked like someone ready to stand his ground, with me right there beside him. Epilogue. 6 months later. It's been 6 months since everything went down with Vincent Rossi. 6 months since I stopped pretending that being with Michael was something I could walk away from. I thought it'd get easier once his father backed off, but damn, I was wrong. Being with Michael was like being on the edge of a speeding car. You're alive, sure, but you never forget how close you are to crashing. "Stay close," he said one night, his voice sharp over the hum of the city. "I'm literally standing next to you," I shot back, rolling my eyes as we walked down the narrow street behind the garage. "Not close enough," he muttered, glancing around. His hand brushed against mine. Rossi's rivals still have eyes everywhere. I didn't take it seriously then, until 2 weeks later, I was yanked into a van outside the damn convenience store near school. The world blurred for a second. My knee connected with someone's ribs. My palm caught another guy's face. But before I could scream, a gunshot cracked the air. Next thing I knew, the guys were running. And in the alley's shadows, Michael's mom's bodyguard stepped forward, calm as a ghost. "Mrs. Rossi sends her regards," he said, helping me up like it was a normal Tuesday. I had realized that Lena was worried after what had happened in the hospital that day. So she kept a check on both of us. Not visible, but close enough to make sure both of us were safe. Michael arrived seconds later, face pale, eyes burning. "You okay?" His voice trembled, just barely. He cupped my jaw, scanning me like I'd break. "I'm fine," I breathed, even though my legs shook. "Guess your dad wasn't kidding, but your mother appeared as a supermom." Michael didn't say anything. He just pulled me into his chest, his heart beating fast under my cheek. For a guy who could punch through walls, he sure held me like glass. After that, he wouldn't let me out of his sight. He'd walk me to every class, wait outside the art room, drive me home even when I said I could walk. It drove me crazy. "Michael, you're suffocating me," I groaned one afternoon, throwing my bag onto the counter at his garage. He looked up from under the hood of a car, grease smudged on his cheek. "Good, means you're breathing." I threw a rag at him. "That doesn't even make sense." He smirked, wiping his hands. "It does to me." He'd opened the garage officially now. Guys from all over the racing circuit came in for tune-ups. I'd see him there. Sleeves rolled up, music blasting, a cigarette tucked behind his ear. The same guy who once felt untouchable now earned every cent with his hands. "I like watching you work," I admitted one evening, leaning against the wall. He glanced over, eyes softening. "That's a weird kink, Hopper." "Shut up," I said, throwing a bolt at him. He caught it midair and walked toward me, closing the distance slow. The tension between us built like heat from an engine. "You know," he murmured, voice low, "you're the only calm thing in my life." I laughed under my breath. "That's funny, considering I almost got kidnapped because of you." His grin faded. "Don't joke about that." His hand slid to my waist, steady, protective. "If something happened to you, then you'd probably burn down half the city," I said softly. "I know." Silence stretched. The air between us felt heavy, charged. I could hear his heartbeat, or maybe it was mine. "You don't have to guard me 24/7, you know," I whispered. "Yes, I do." His gaze dipped to my lips. "You have no idea what it does to me when I think of losing you." I swallowed hard. My body reacted before my mind did, leaning in, brushing against him, feeling the warmth of his breath. "I hate you sometimes," I said, though my voice trembled. "Yeah?" He smiled faintly. "Prove it." So I kissed him. Slow, certain, the kind of kiss that made time stop for a bit. His hand slid up my back, pulling me closer. And for a moment, there wasn't fear or danger or Vincent's shadow. Just us, stupidly, recklessly in love. Later that week, Ava cornered me near the lockers. "You really went all in, huh?" she said, crossing her arms but smiling a little. "Guess I did," she nudged me. "You look happy, Hopper. Like, stupidly happy." "Yeah, I am," I admitted, watching Michael outside through the window, probably waiting for me with that smug grin. People still whispered about us. Some called me brave, others said I was crazy for staying with a Rossi. But honestly, the thrill, the warmth, the danger, it all blended into something that felt alive. And as Michael looked up from across the yard, meeting my eyes with that small, private smile meant only for me, I knew one thing. Whatever storm the Rossis brought, I was already in it, and I wasn't going anywhere. The end ever fallen for someone who drives you insane but somehow makes you feel safest too? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.